Okay, hopefully everyone can hear me okay. So I'm gonna have to be a little bit quieter today because my partner's just in a meeting right now. But we are going to be going over two videos today. One is Shadtheshade's Duckling Weekly Week 2, and another one's going to be Deadpulse, who won the first day of the Duckling Derby, the first week one flags of the Duckling Derby, also doing one, and hopefully we'll be able to identify a couple, possible holes, some routing considerations for Shard Hunt, party composition, spell buying, and other things like that. Shad, if you're here, okay, looks like you're in my viewer list, so hopefully you're hanging out. But let me know, of course, if you have any questions. Hey. So yeah, we're gonna start off with a quick flag review just to go over things that stand out. So of course, item magic here is on, which means we're not going to have consistent, the normal item magic we usually have. But of course, with the ruse item, it's not as big a deal. To be honest, the defense sword, well, the ruse item, is probably the most significant item that you can find. So that is a big thing to note. Continuing on, of course, shuffled Astos, my opinions on the flag notwithstanding, something to be aware of. It incentivizes saving outside of Canaria. No loose, incentive massa, and incentive ribbon. Of course, this makes it so that fighter comps are going to be much better than normal or even thief comps. And incentive ribbon means that you don't have to open up bonus chests for that. Sky Palace being incentivized is very interesting, especially with Ryuk and Desert Dock being on. The floater with no northern docks on is going to be very important, as it's going to lock, um, at least one location, but may lock even more with waterfall not being available, ordeals potentially not being available depending on canoe as well. So those types of things all will matter quite a bit. Better trap treasure also notably on, but just something to be aware of. So the big deal here, of course, is shard hunt. So I'm going to touch on some key shard hunt pieces of knowledge in the future, but for now, continue on. And then, of course, the scaling. So I was not quite sure what to make of the scaling initially, but after some more reflection, um, I've realized that this is relatively easy scaling. Um, you're going to get through the bosses for the most part. The only thing is the HP. So like straight nuke strats, for example, aren't going to be as powerful, but anything that can do decent damage, you should be okay. And your swords will do decent damage because the boss stats aren't so high that absorb and evade are going to max out or anything like that. Um, yeah, continuing on. Blurses are very, very friendly, no forced, two blurs, and that's pretty much it. So let's get right into this VOD review here. And the first thing I want to see is what party you select. Okay. Okay, so red mage armor is good there. Doesn't matter. And plus 80 HP is really nice. Black belt vitality, not too bad. Oh yeah, black belt crit is not halved. You mean is not halved, which is important to note. This being said, I think the black belt is likely a trap on this flag set. Um, so I do think fighters are going to generally be better. Let's transition over to here though. Hey, you can see me now. Okay, so we're going fighter. So that 10% hit percentage doesn't do anything unless the black belt is armed, which of course is going to be quite rare. So I did the Duckling Weekly earlier this week, so I have played this flag set, plus I did some testing of it early on. Yeah, if fighter blurst is really bad, but it would be much more if the black belt blurst is really good. But even if it is, fighter blurst, unless it's literally a nerf, the fighter is going to be very, very, very powerful here. Okay, so I think fighter rainbow here is a totally fine selection. It's once again not going to be optimized for fast, and the big thing I don't like about this party on this flag set is that I think running is so important when you're opening tons and tons of boxes. And this does not have my kind of standard run coverage, which is having either two black mages or a thief. And because this is missing both of those, that's something to keep in mind. Um, a lot of the time, running is the fastest way to get out of a fight. Okay, that's really good. That's really good white magic. Oh, is this the Duckling Weekly? No, it's not. It's different. No, no, different spells, different white magic spells. Just so this is really good white magic. The red magic isn't so good, but you kind of want two black casters. Should I have sacrificed my red mage or my white mage to have a black mage or a thief? So what I would suggest like for example, the party that I've been running on this is fighter thief red black. I think you can go fighter red mage thief or fighter red mage black mage and depend on their levels. So getting higher levels earlier will allow you to run faster. For a four-person comp, um, you could run fighter white mage black mage, but I think in general fighter like red black black will be preferable. There's a lot of different options. I think Fighter Rainbow just in general is safe but slow-ish three-person comp, or a faster four-person comp like Fighter Thief Red Black or Fighter Red Black Black or Fighter White Black Black will be a little bit faster. The really big advantage of this comp is that you have multiple life casters a lot of the time. You have multiple Invis 2 casters, but it's just not as important here. Wow, those are nasty imps. I do want to take a quick look at something, which is just your canary exit time. This is just something that I point out just for the importance of making quick decisions in stores here. Looks like you're relatively okay. You do have three mages to buy for. Yeah, yeah, it's just a practice, yeah. Okay, yeah, so 45 seconds, that's not bad at all. We will speed up to 2 times speed once we get going a little bit here. But for now, this is fine. So with Shuffled Astos, I've been liking buying a cabin or a save item if possible before I beat Garland, so that way I can change my plan if I die, because killing Garland takes almost no time at all. Yeah, so like what I've been doing is I've been going here, saving outside with a cabin or a tent after I go through Canaria, or sorry, Temple of Fiends, and then defeating Garland. And then if King or Princess or Sarah, or sorry, King or Princess is Astos, you can just reset there. But yeah, solid plan. So I like your party ordering here. Red mage can wear the best armor, and you have your two black mages back to back. Okay, so hopefully you go check Canaria locked right away. Good. Okay, let's speed this up now. I must admit I ignored Astos all week on my practice, but Cabin for Toph is a great idea. Yeah, so people are also, like, before they talk to King and Sarah, they're, like, walking out and saving. You don't need to do any of this, of course. If you have, like, level 1 nuke and you have 2 casts of it left, then it just doesn't matter. Um, but I think walking out of Canaria Castle to save before you talk to King or Sarah is so incredibly slow if you don't need to, so I greatly prefer the saving outside of Toph. Okay, cool. So because you got the crystal, oh wow, this is just incredible gear too. Because you got the crystal, you should probably visit Matoya before you go to Provoca. Yep, cool. I like this decision as well. Whoa, 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 whoa. Was that 99 softs? Okay, that was pots. Okay, cool. I don't know why I saw it as softs. 10, 11. Okay, cool. It was just expensive, but that makes sense. So I would probably buy more than 11 tenths, but I see why you did that because of your money, so that's fine. I also would prefer to buy one soft. Um, So here, I would definitely be checking Matoya before Provoca. The reason being is that you're going to be checking Matoya before Provoca anyways, and you have an extra opportunity to get gold. So that way you can definitely afford your trip here. One of the reasons, actually, just a side note of why I like Fighter Thief Red Black, is because it gives you one less mage to buy spells for, which saves you some money in the early game. But that's relatively minor. You get the same effect if you go with a three-person party as well. So far, no major strategic mistakes. I would just comment that the Matoya check first is definitely going to save you some time. Or not save you some time, it just gives you a little bit more optimal routing considering you're going there anyways. Good. Those silver plus 3s aren't bad, but of course you don't have the money for it, so that was the correct decision. Especially with the opal plus 5 already, it's not that big of a deal. Ooh, really nice. So this white mage is really powerful. Okay, fast at level 2. And lock 2 as well. Okay, good. Good decisions all around. Your black mage may be expendable at this point, just as a heads up already. It would be something I'm considering. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Okay, so definitely a strategic mistake here. With the early crystal, there's like no reason to not go to Matoya from, you know, Canaria, Matoya, Provoca, but especially on the way back. I can see you going to Provoca first. Sure, you might save a little bit of time if you get exit first, for example. But I think the money trade-off isn't worth it. But you should definitely check it on the way back. Okay, yeah, forgetting it the crystal is fine, but okay, as long as it's a like forget, not a like purposeful routing. Okay, chime. I've seen this a lot. Um, okay, so just a little bit more use of exit there. We'll speed things up a little bit. So something that you should generally avoid, I think I started to use a tracker after this run. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Something you should generally avoid is going to Elflin with no money if you can at all afford to. Um, I understand here you have both the key and the herb to turn in, but you can even consider just checking level 3 magic and not going to the back because the odds of you being able to afford things there are low. Okay, so now you go to Matoya. So obviously some inefficient routing here, but I think you understand the reason behind it. Let me know if you have any questions so far. I think things are pretty straightforward though. It's just been like small routing things. Otherwise, it's been pretty straightforward. Cool. Got a soft, which is really nice. Okay, and there's your floater. So you should be turning this floater in immediately at this point. Wow, that's a really long run. I don't know where it is on the encounter table, but it's huge. When you're level 5, you might want to consider just taking a few more fights here. Um, just on the sea even. Yes, they're not great for experience, but you still just need a little bit more money and a little bit more experience. So like even those kind of bad fights are still worthwhile. Like I would definitely be fading this. Yeah, okay, cool. Uh, basically nothing is good XP on the sea. Um, Kizokus or the blue pirates are good, are decent gold, but really nothing. But like any encounter at this EXP scaling is like good enough to get you from level 4 to level 5, for example. Okay, so rod's really expensive. That's fine. So at this point, you're basically looking for nuke, um, warp, white mage. You're looking for maybe life or cure 4. Okay, canoe. So exit. No, good. Good decisions here too. So far, 11 minutes in, I haven't seen any like major mistakes. Hey Shadhouse, how's it going? I haven't seen anything too bad. I think just the Matoya routing is probably your biggest mistake so far. I think you have lock. I hope you have lock. I remember you bought lock at level 2, so I'm pretty sure you have at least a single lock caster. So I have stopped checking. This is kind of a high level topic, but I've stopped checking magic at level 7 unless I'm specifically looking for fast, basically. Because if level 7 is nuke, you're just not going to have enough casts of it to really matter. Like the only spell that really matters at level 7 on this scaling, on this flag state, like your Black Mage is maybe hitting level 22, 21, 23, maybe somewhere around there, right? Which means that you're getting a couple charges at level 7 at most. So nuke, not that big of a deal. It's basically fast, and at this point you already have fast. So I would be skipping black magic at level 7. White magic you can still consider because like a single cast of Cure 4 is huge, a cast of Life 2 can be huge. But if you have fast, no need to check level 7 magic. Also, no reason to check the item shop here. You already know where the rod is. And Canaria has basically everything you need because it has tents, softs, pures, heals. Remember to use exit there, but I figure you might be saving charges, so that's fine. Yep, really good decision here to go promote right away. Yeah, I like all this. Looking good. What place did you finish in, Chad? In the first Duckling Weekly. Your gameplay's looking pretty solid so far. 12th? Okay, okay. That's around where this makes sense. Once again here, this is where. Oh, I guess you have no fades left, so that's a little bit unfortunate. But this is where like just taking any fights just to get a few levels off the bat is going to be like really important. I evolved a lot last week when I learned how to run Free Enterprise. Yeah, Free Enterprise is its own unique brand of fun. Okay, Tail, awesome decision. So let's just talk quickly about your routing here. So you went. We talked about Matoya, so for some people who are just joining us, he skipped Matoya on the way to Provoca with the crystal. You should almost always check Matoya on the way to Provoca with the crystal in hand just for some extra money. Went down to Elfland, went all the way through Elfland, which was a small mistake. Um, oh yeah, no problem, Shadows. We'll talk to you later. A small mistake because you don't have enough money to buy level 4 magic. Turned in the herb, which was fine, and then at that point you got the floater. So you went and turned in the floater, which is good. Crescent Lake to Sages, a really obvious follow-up there. One issue is you're just a little bit short on levels, and where you're going to get those are a little bit questionable. Some things to consider. If you have a short run off the power cycle, you can even just do your classic checking around Crescent Lake. Like, don't be afraid to try and get level 10 off Peds or anything with level 2 Fade. Like, just take it. I've also checked Earth 1 when you're after you go over to Sarda. You can go check the grind tiles there, not for a grind, but just for like any amount of levels. Because remember, the walking grind is a good strategy, but you still don't want to really be diving dungeons until you're level 10. If you can get away from it, you absolutely um, and you absolutely can get to level 10 to 12 like so easily. It's going to take like 5 fights with your spells and your exp scaling here. So just something to consider. So your levels are a little bit lower. After that, perfect routing, Crescent Lake, Sarda, down to Bottle, and then you got the tail, so you're turning it in. So that all makes a ton of sense. Okay, that I really like that idea. Doing your armor as soon as you get it. That was just a little bit slow in terms of how long that took, but that's okay. Here you've also hit the awkward state of running out of exits, which is a little bit unfortunate. You could have considered this when you went to Gaia, but that's fine. I only think only of the grind tile. What do you mean by only think only of the grind tile? And yeah, my menu is terrible. Your menu's not terrible. It's not as fast as some, but it's not terrible. Okay, I like this out. This volcano decision's good. Um, if you if you have yeah, this volcano decision's good. If you had warp, I've been preferring ice to volcano to go first sometimes just for some levels, but this is also really good. It just depends on if you think you can kill carry, but at this point with the number of fade charges you have, you probably can't. So I think the play here, if you're going into volcano, is likely to get some levels, clear out the armory, exit out. Hopefully you're level 10 to 12 by that point, if not higher, and then go to Crescent Lake and get your spell charges back. We'll see what you do. Okay, that's the plan. Cool. Because yeah, you're just too low level to really dive deep here. Yeah, this is fine. Oh, that's unfortunate. That's really unfortunate. Yeah, do armory, then go out. Yeah. So I've been checking these two chests and all the chests plus the two chests in the top left here and just skipping the two hairpins, but I don't know what you decide to, how many chests you decide to check. Just keep in mind that with no loose, you can absolutely skip chests. Okay, yeah, so that looks like what you're doing. This is a good fight to take, by the way. I guess you have limited fade charges, and otherwise you just have fire 3, so. Cool. Ooh. This you probably can't kill easily. These tend to have tons of HP. Um, yeah, okay. Okay, cool. What are you doing? Do you not have exit cast left? Oh, you don't have exit on your red mage. Okay. You decided to prioritize fast and lock. That's reasonable. Wasn't exit level 2? Exit's definitely level 2 because it was competing with your fade charges. You just decided to prioritize black magic over it, which I think is an okay decision. Um, it won't matter so much once you get a few more levels. Yeah, that's fine. 20 minutes in. Okay. I feel like you're losing a little bit of time to execution, but your decision making is relatively good. And by execution, I just mean making faster, menuing decisions, menuing a little bit faster, all that sort of stuff. So there's a rule of Volcano, which is that if you're going to go deeper than Armory, you're killing carry, um, especially in the Duckling races. So if you're going here, you better be killing carry, and you're like right on the cusp of it being extremely dangerous. Um, you do have like fade will kill carry, but you need like almost all your fade charges. Plus, you need to get through. So this is where having a few more levels earlier would help a lot. Um, you can also remember, yes, you went to the armory, but once you leave the armory, you have reset your decisions entirely, which means you can then go to Ice Cave to get a few levels, and then you can go back. Because remember, you have Fire 3 as your like primary sweeper, as well as Fade. Ice Cave is juicy here. Plus, you have exit, so yes, you can't get it quite as quickly, but you can get it relatively quickly. So I would definitely be considering Ice Cave here over the deeper dive to Volcano. I think the Armory decision was totally fine, though. Ice Cave has a lot of relatively quick checks. It's a little bit dangerous, but yeah, you still need to check the chest in Ice Cave, but I would just go through the entire thing, right? Because you can check the chest, and then instead of going through twice, you can just exit out. So you go in, you check the top left chest, fall down. You can check the top right one too, but it's only one chest with a spike tile. But it is better trap. I don't know if it's better trap treasure, but it might be. Then you go through, check the two chests, check the six chests, go around, check the two chests, and then check the three chests. That's a decent chest density for the amount of time, and Ice Cave is a really good place for you to get levels with your current spells and party comp. So here, spending fades is going to make carry very dangerous. But I mean, this is exactly the sort of fight that you want to be taking for these levels. It's just unfortunate that you're not going to be able to get more charges before you're done. Hmm. Yeah, this is just where Fire 3 is just not ideal, but that's fine. Yeah, this is good. Yeah. You have no choice but to run here because you need to save your fade charges. And once again, Fire 3 is just not good in the volcano. Uh, I think you took an extra step there, but it's relatively minor. Okay, golden rule of swords on mages. I mean, even red mages. It just that change was just not worth your time. Your level 12 red mage is not going to do more damage with a sword no matter what they're equipped with, even if unless it's like literally a massa. So that was just like just guess. Your guess is probably close enough. I'm getting really worried you're going to run out of fades for carry. Because remember, the golden rule of Volcano. When you're going to here, you're killing carry. Fearing Ice Cave is a good thing, but if you have Warp or Exit, ideally Warp, but if you have Warp or Exit, Ice Cave is not a bad thing. If you have Sweepers, Ice Cave is not a bad thing. And remember, the encounter rate is very low here compared to what it is in like the Spring Tournament. Ideally, you want to be hitting those level 10 to 12s before you do any of this, which will help a lot. But if you're level 12 here and you have Fades and Fire 3s, Ice Cave is not a bad thing at all. I would be running from this. These things have a lot of HP. I guess that Ice 3 Helm is really good, though. Yeah, that's fair. Yeah, this Ice 3 Helm is pretty great. Hmm. I don't know. I guess you're worried about life on your White Mage. That's why you're equipping the extra armor. But it's so unlikely for them to get hit. It's a little bit unusual, but I can see the justification for it. But you're not exiting here, right? You're killing carry. Okay, that's fine. Good decision. Okay, so this Ice 3 Helm should go on your Black Mage here. Or your Fighter. That Fighter's also fine. That's also a fine decision. Okay, good game plan. Really good game plan. This should work. A little bit unlucky. Okay, that's solid. In that carry fight, because your White Mage had very little to offer, um, moving the I think keeping the stuff in slot 2 on your red mage or moving your white mage to slot 2 would have been fine, but overall that was good. Just keep in mind party comp movement is like you can do it quite a bit. You can really take advantage of it. Did you just buy a second rod? Or did you not buy one the first time? No? Okay. Sorry. It can be hard to see when it's going fast. Oh, never had the money before? Okay, so that was your first rod. Okay, okay. That's fine. Bathroom break? Yeah, so far, Shad, it's looking pretty solid. Hopefully some of the little things I'm picking up on are helping. But if there's anything that you want more specific advice on, let me know. Okay, our levels are much, much better. So you've kind of gotten out of that early part of the game. I like the volcano to get out of that early part of the game for the most part. It was just a little bit unfortunate when you dived in, but ooh, this is nice. This should be taken at least once. Good stuff. You could take that again, but you don't have to. Ooh, I should also take this. So far, about 35 minutes in, or 31 minutes in, you're probably maybe 4 minutes off, 5 minutes off, like the best paces here, just because a little bit of routing, maybe a little bit more in execution. But for the most part, things are looking pretty solid here. Um, I'll try and give you a more summarized list of things to think about, like at the end once I've seen a little bit more. But as you said, when things are going well, you seem to know what to do. It's how do you adjust and how do you make it more likely for things to go well. And I think that's where like little decisions make a difference. The right little decisions, right? Like the wrong little decisions are, does my red mage swing a sword that has 5 more damage? The right little decisions are like rearranging your party and spell selection. Ooh, root staff, nice, good. That's important enough to do that right away. Ooh, nasty. Yeah, you should take it. And ice is effective here. Your black mage has ice 3, and you seem to not have taken it very much, so just keep in mind, yeah, that's something you can do, but I think you've made that adjustment. Okay, so we're taking a little mini grind here. This is okay. I like that you took it after because you're limiting your resources, assuming you don't run out of fade charges. Once again, that type of optimization just isn't that important. So I would try and remove that. Like the difference between, you know, 10 damage, like when you're in the mid-tier weapons, you basically have 3 stages of weapon equipment, weapon equipping for the fighter. You have your early game weapons, which is just if you need one, anything. Um, you have your mid-game weapon, which is I've upgraded from my saber, and then you have your late game weapon, which is like Sun Sword, Masa, Xcal, and you only really need to equip each of those stages once. Switching between mid-tier swords is just generally not worth it unless you're like in a really tight situation where you like need your fighter to be your primary damage dealer. But here, Fade and Ice 3 are clearly your primary damage dealers. Of course, it's making a difference, but like it's just not that important to get it like exactly right. Good use. Good job saving an exit charge there. Gonna pick up life, I assume. This is something I really like. This is really good. Um, Picking up your um, spells like early, so that way you just have them forever, is really really good. After you promote, you don't need to fly directly there, but like your routing here was really clean. To get some money, rebuy your spells. This is really nice. Yeah, buy life, buy heal 3. Wait a second. Yeah. Okay, wait, back up. Your white mage has had heal 3 this entire time, yet you spent so much time heal potting. Your white mage has had level 1 heal 3. In Volcano, you should have been spamming the crap out of that. Like heal 3 is one of the biggest time savers in the game. Heal 3 is the equivalent of like if your whole party is down. Heal 3 is like what? 3 no 4 heal pots per person. So you can save so much time off that. I totally didn't realize it until here, but like all your healing in Volcano basically should have been heal 3. Does that make sense? I know you're giving me a emote, but hopefully that's something that you can think of to like save another like literally minute or two off your time here. Yep, this Elfland trip is now good. You have money. See, the thing is here that you were doing this Elfland trip anyways at this point. You didn't need to come here the first time and go to the back when you had no money. There was no spells that you need. Like, the reason you do that is if you need a spell to progress. But you had the most important spells to progress. You had um, Fade, Exit, Life, which is really all you need to dungeon dive. No, coming back here is totally fine to pick up Ice 3 now that you know what's here, but like you didn't need to know what was here prior to making all those other decisions. So you didn't need to check the back of level, like the back of Elfland until now. Does that make sense? Like I check the back of Elfland if I'm broke, if like I'm like where's my first sweeper? But if you know where your first sweeper is, there's no reason to come back. Or there's no reason to go back here with not enough money to be able to buy everything. Cool. Okay. Oh, you just forgot you didn't have the crown. Okay. Yeah, definitely time to use a tracker. Ooh, steak. So, at this point in the run, um, you're about level 16. You're you haven't found the oxale or the cube, I believe, but you probably should be trying, even if it involves diving a few extra incentive locations, you probably should be prioritizing trying to get into Ordeal or Sky or Waterfall. And this just kind of goes into more general shard hunt concepts, but Sky and and sea are your go-to shard dungeons alongside Volcano, because not only do they have 4 shards behind the bosses, they also have huge chance density. Sky just has it inherently, and sea has it in Mermaids. So you want to be getting there. Because you want to be getting there, you're going to be taking those later game enemies, and because you're going to be taking those later game enemies, you can get some levels through a walking grind. So at level 16 or 17 here, you probably are going to be getting enough experience to get all the way as high as you need. I would also be strongly considering at this point. So remember I talked about running. Well, running's a little bit more when you're lower level. At this point, you're high enough level. I would strongly be considering killing off your black mage and maybe probably just your black mage because he's not contributing much and he doesn't need any more levels. His goal in the seed is going to be to cast fast, and that's basically it. Maybe a temper or two and a lock or two, but he's basically there to cast fast. You want more levels on your 3 other characters to get extra fade charges and extra swings on your fighter. So if you're going to go with a 4-person party and that's what you're comfortable with, I really encourage you to start thinking about how can I get down to a 3-person party, even if you don't start with one. And the way you do that here, of course, is just move your black mage to the front row and wait until he gets punched and dies with no armor on. You don't need to like actively try and kill him like a black belt grind, but like even like as soon as carry when he died, you might not have wanted to res him there. Because your black mage has everything he needs at level 16. He's going to take one punch from Kraken regardless. He's going to cast fast 4 times regardless. That's all he really needs to do. His survivability against nuke is not that important. Versus your fighter, really high damage is super, super important. Your life casters, you want them to be able to survive a nuke roll. Okay, level 5 nuke does change that equation a little bit, but level 2 fade is still going to be your bread and butter. So I would still stand by my point. Same thing here. I wouldn't really be going into Melmond because you've already gone to the dungeon, I guess, where um, I guess if you're going to go to Ordeals, Melmond makes sense to check for warp, but for the most part, you've already gone to the dungeon where warp makes the most difference, and you have everything you need to do. So I wouldn't go to Melmond until you get the slab. I guess it's on your way though, so that's fine. But just keep in mind, something I was talking to, I don't remember who it was. Maybe it was Shadtheshade or Kalaka, something like that. But I was mentioning like just how much time shopping takes. Like it's so much time, and on faster flag sets, you're really going to pay the price for that. So keep that in mind. Oh no, don't do it. Earth is not the answer. I mean, to be honest, for getting ordeals here, unless it has the key or the loot, I know you have the rod, but Earth is the worst dungeon in Shard Hunt. Its chests suck. There's only 2 shards at the end of it. If you watched Crabcakes or Thunder or myself play, I don't think any of us will ever go past the first floor of Earth if we can absolutely avoid it. And there's no incentive item here, so it's not going to help you get to the dungeons you want to go to, which are Sea and Sky. So you just want to avoid Earth. Like I said, Earth has a role, which is, do you want to get some early levels? Check the spike tiles, maybe a few pieces of gold, check the 4 chests. But you do not want to go down Earth because full clearing Earth is incredibly slow, and if you're not full clearing Earth, there's just not enough chests. The only good chest density is on Earth 4, and that's so deep down. Hopefully that makes sense. Yeah, cool. Yeah, Earth, even with the rod, it's the opposite of free enterprise. Free enterprise, if you had the rod, you go to Earth because there's an incentive. There's like essentially 3 incentive locations in Earth. In this seed, there's 0, and incentive locations don't matter except for they help you get into sea, they help you get into sky, and you need the key and the loot to win. Outside of that, the other incentive locations aren't nearly as important. I guess you want the massa, you want the ribbon if you're missing swords and you're missing ribbons, but you're opening so many chests. Even if you don't get the incentive massa, you should still end up with good swords. But like this earth dive is going to take you a long time, and you're going to get limited shards plus only 2 from the boss. So you want to be doing ordeals here probably next, and then I would probably be doing because you don't have the cube or the oxyale yet, right? So you probably are doing ordeals, and then after ordeals, you're probably doing waterfall because at that point, if you get the cube there, then the oxyale might be in sky, so you go to sky. If you don't get the cube there, then you go to waterfall and hope it's not like cube there. That's kind of trolly, but it's not the end of the world. Keep in mind, ordeals actually has decent chest density too. So like Ordeals is not the worst place in the world to go to. It's a little unfortunate how high level warp is, but if I have like a low level warp in general, because once again this is not your race flag, if you have a relatively low level warp, you don't need to avoid Ordeals like the Plague. I think Crabcakes and I on the Duckling Weekly both went to Ordeals, and it wasn't required. So that just kind of shows you a little bit of the routing priorities. Ooh, that's worth equipping. Yeah. So once again, at this point, the only thing you're ever changing your fighter's gear for is the Masa, which I think you know at this point, but just a heads up. Yeah, I understand that you hate the. I mean, Ordeals does take time. Don't get me wrong. Ordeals is not like the perfect dungeon by any stretch, but it's just something that it's an incentive location. There's 7 chests in it, and if you have warp, it's a relatively quick dungeon to get through. This isn't free enterprise, right? Like, look at how long Earth has taken you, and you've checked 12 chests. Only a few more chests. If anyone else is chilling out, let me know if you have any questions. We'll be able to answer them. Okay, mini grind here is okay, but once again, in this style of flag set land, what you want to be considering here is that I want to go to Sky and Sea. Therefore, I'm going to be taking levels against higher level enemies. Also, you're way too high level already. If like based off how many shards you have, you're level 21. Your fighter with an Xcal +2 needs to be like level 27 or something like that at most if he wants the swings, and he probably doesn't even need the swings because you have fast. 4 swings with an Xcal +2 is totally fine. So your fighter is probably needs to be level 23 to 24 at most. Um, so like your levels are good if you just took fights for the rest of it. So it seems like you have a kind of a level curve issue. You want to get your earlier levels faster, and then after that you can kind of trail off the rest of your levels for a walking grind. If you think about the rest of your routing, and this requires a lot of forethought, but like I think you're at the level where you can start considering it. If you think about the rest of your levels as like a curve, right? Like how many more locations am I getting, and about how many levels am I estimating to get if I'm full clearing versus if I'm go moding, right? And Sky at this level, at this experience, with the amount of shards you already have, you're probably expecting to be able to get 3, 4 levels um, if you're go moding it and killing most of the things in there. So just keep that in mind, right? Worst case scenario, you can always take the patrolling war mech on too. So you've got quite a few shards. Unfortunately, the problem is that you've been missing those 8 like kind of free shards. Oh, you have cube. Oh, okay. Yeah, this should have been the easiest sky play in the world then. Yeah, so this is 100% sky um, before Earth here. How long did you say this run was? Because you're already at 50 minutes. I feel like you're almost done. Are things about to go very wrong? I see a lot of video left. Oh, okay. You wiped twice. Okay, okay. We'll see what we can do about that. So yes, note about sandworms. They're worth a bunch of experience, but they're better for a black belt because of how safe they are and the fact that they're a high experience per enemy. Um, Keep in mind that here, fights like this, for example, which aren't those are probably one of the worst fights in Sky, but you have to run from it anyway, so you would rather take those fights than grind on that static sandworm tile. This is where it's unfortunate you don't have warp, but if you had warp, just know the warp trick here. Um, the warp trick here, of course, being that when you go to the side, you warp. When you go to the other side, you warp, and then you go up. So that's the fastest way to clear this room. You don't have warp, so you're of course doing it correctly. Okay, so you seem to have identified, or at least I think you've identified correctly, that your levels are good. Um, so I think it was more of a foresight issue than a tactical issue. Like, it was more of a strategy issue than a tactical issue. In that you didn't realize how many more fights you had, so you took levels earlier, and then you're not taking fights on the way. And yeah, actually, that's a good point. It really differs from Free Enterprise compared to this. Here, with that walking grind strat, you're taking these fights anyways. There's encounters you have to take here, and they're worth good EXP because you're in Sky, the last dungeon of the game. So you can count on that as long as you have a way to kill them. Oh, that sucks. Okay, I skipped the right side here, just because I think it's too slow. But I can see why you're checking it because your shard count matters for how many chests you want to check. Like if you're 5 shards away and T is your extra one, then it makes more sense to be more full clear heavy. Now, note small strategy thing, and this is very specific to Sky. What veteran runners do here is they check Sky 3 first, and then if they don't have enough shards, they go back down to Sky 2. Because it's fast, those other chests are more chest dense. And the fact you have to walk back up anyways to check these means there's no time loss of if you go down, check all of Sky 3, and then walk back up anyways. So small improvement that you can consider for routing Sky. So unfortunate you don't have warp. God, I hate seeds without warp. It's not your fault, just annoying. Yeah, that's a good idea. That's a good decision. Yeah, I also agree with that. Not so much the equip part, but the equip part's fine, but the decision to put on your white mage because your white mage is more likely to be like playing more defensive. Yes, I guess it's your fade caster in this point, but if need be, your white mage is going to be your more defensive option. You have enough shards, I'm assuming, at this point, so that's why you're skipping those chests. Good. You're showing that you're thinking. Oh, you forgot? Oh, oops. I gave you too much credit. You're showing in general though that you're thinking. Like, I think there's just a few extra things um, to think. There's always more to think about. I guess always more optimizing we can do. So in the essence of time, I might. I kind of am curious how your Topher dives went. If I should just be skipping ahead to your chaos fight, or if there's various points throughout you want to be seeing for the first two, because that's a lot of walking. Um, but I'd be curious if it's like your whole Topher dive, like if it's resource management, if it's specific fight strategies, if it's dealing with the floors, if it's step routing, like what you think went wrong in Temple of Fiends Revisited. You've already checked Cardia. Yeah, Waterfall's the right play here. Kind of unfortunately. Oh right, you also have to get the loot. Um, I don't need to skip ahead right now. I'm just more curious, like if there's 3 dives through Temple of Fiends Revisited. If maybe we'll watch it. You know what? It's fine. It's only like what 15 minutes. You guys are so fast now. It's not like the old days where I had to do 2.5 hour VOD reviews on a 3 hour 3 hour tape. I actually enjoyed that too, but just a note. Oh, there's Astos. Yeah, you probably would have gone into Topher Lootless. Yeah, you got to remember the key and loot. No shards still. Wow. Okay, yeah, you're getting punished super, super hard for that one. Um, so do you dive Marsh? Topher key locks, maybe? Oh, no, no, dwarves. Definitely dwarves. You haven't done dwarves yet. Wait, why are you going to ordeals now? No dwarf? Wait, why no dwarf? Oh, yeah, this is not the right decision. I mean, I guess this or the slab leads to Massa, but you don't need it. You have an XCal +2. And you don't have warp. Wow, this is okay. I think you know the problem here. I mean, I was saying Ordeals isn't the end of the world. As a place to go, when you're relatively low level, you want to go to sea and sky, but yeah, it's all good. That's why it's a practice race. I like that in chat you said the right play though, which is definitely dwarves. So you're capable and you know what the right decision is. And in many ways, that's like what I'm like. I can't help you execute that much. Really, you need to practice. But if you know what the right decisions are and you can practice making them quickly, that's good. That's not the right person to have that on, but we'll see if you change that. Seriously, you still didn't get a shard? Wow, that's rough. I would exit here. You don't need levels. Okay. Or you can take the tile for no reason. I mean, if you're going to take the tile and it's blue dragons, which is about as good as you can get for like, your current party level, and then you run, you probably should have just exited, but that's okay. Another thing I'm not seeing at all, and this is probably because you were practicing week one, but I've seen zero encounter manipulation throughout this entire seed. So that's probably another place where you're losing somewhere in the realm of, oh, you got the floater so early, so it's probably not that much, but you're probably losing a minute to a minute and a half on this seed on just encounter manipulation. So it might be a skill that you want to work on in the future, especially going into week four, because week four is my flags, and I play very, very standard flag sets, which means you have slightly higher encounter rates. You actually need to encounter manipulation. You don't have like crazy like Ryukin Desert Docks on and all that jazz. So week four is going to reward encounter manipulation quite a bit. Yeah, no, that makes sense. Just something to keep in mind that you got to train back up. Good. So assuming you power cycled there, I think the long run is after two encounters. Yeah, but you didn't need dwarfs items either. Like, so this is coming with a plan. I guess the Masa was worthwhile to check there, and also a second ribbon. So I guess it makes sense to check those items. Never mind, I take it back. But just keep in mind that if you know it's Oxial, for example, you don't need to turn it in for Oxial that does nothing because you need one shard anyways. Yeah, you're looking for Masa makes sense. I processed it once I like got through the seed, but just a heads up. Okay, always save before Lich. Good. Or sorry, always heal before Lich. The biggest thing Lich could do is nuke you, so you need as much HP as possible. Yeah, heads up at slab. Rude. So there is one massive problem with this party right now if you don't change this. Okay, yeah, so this is bonkers. Yes, you have three life casters, but your black mage is by far the least important member of this party. He literally contributes a fast, and that's it. Anyone else with your ribbon would make more sense. In this case, it should be on your fighter most likely, because to be honest, your fighter is the one who matters the most, and if he lives, he can life your other characters. Maybe a red mage with, whoever has the ruse hammer would be a secondary option because they can ruse up and cast caster items to win. But like, imagine if your whole team gets zapped and everyone but your ribbon character lives. Do you want it on your black mage? No. Oh, speaking of, okay, well, you of course didn't get punished too hard there, but just a note. And like, keep in mind, I am not judging at all. I'm just trying to point out, and I think you know this too, so it's just important to recognize that like this is the type of mistake that it maybe won't punish you, but it really, really could punish you. So you had one nuke cast there on your black mage. I don't think you should be using it on carry. Kraken is much more important to eke out the maximum damage if you're going to go for speed and power strats. Carry's okay if you're deciding that you're going to go invis 2 strats anyways, but there's a decent trade-off here of speed and power versus with this exact scaling, both are viable. Hey, good, you saved the steps. I was talking to Luffy about that, and he's like, I hate the seafloor, and I'm like, did you know you can save 2 or 3 additional steps if you walk along the wall? Okay, a couple notes here. Um, Against Kraken here, you almost certainly want your Black Mage in slot 2, or even slot 1. Your fighter is still your best way out of this fight, and it looked like you were swinging. So your plan of attack here is a little bit weird, because you're going speed and power, which is fine, and maybe the fighter can live, but you still might want to consider sacrificing your black mage, especially especially if you're going fast lock, because here you're all inning on your fighter, but your fighter's the most likely person to get one punched by Kraken. You know, like if you're gonna all in on your fighter, you don't want him to get one punched. Yes, you're getting ruse and invis too, but remember you can get turn ordered. So I guess it's like less of like a immediate like this is obviously wrong. It's more of just a this could go more wrong. One thing I really noticed coming out of the Duckling program is that I had a few kind of bad habits that were actually good habits in Duckling, but get punished, excuse me, later because when the scaling gets higher. And that's one of them is like all ending on your fighter when he's in slot one and then he gets one punched. Against Tia, not so much of an issue. This is totally fine. So yeah, just think about rearranging your party a little bit more. It's definitely a play to like make more coins flip in your favor. Okay, you had 3 casted nuke. Never mind. I take it back. You could definitely cast that nuke on carry. For some reason, I thought you had less. Okay, cool. So the problem against Chaos here is that you didn't pick up Temper at level 6 and you didn't find the Power Bonk. So I'm going to assume one of two things goes wrong here. Either he's got a bunch of non-elemental AoEs and you just can't get enough damage out and you get some unlucky rolls, or you get baned and zapped and your party dies except for your Black Mage. Yeah, Temper was at level 6. Okay, so didn't move your ribbon. Obviously, that's a huge problem. Um, so yeah, that's immediate. But I mean, in this case, your ribbon could have been on the same character the whole time, which is your fighter because he has life and is your primary melee damage healer. Um, I'm okay with you leaving your fighter here. Chaos is very unlikely to be able to do this much damage if you're going full defense, but because you don't have wall, it's a problem. Is ribbon better than opal? Better than opal? Okay, you know what? Full stop. Ribbon is better than anything. The difference between 60 absorb and 70 absorb, or even 80 absorb, is quite small at this scaling. The difference between a 50% of dying to zap or a 0% or a 3 and 256% chance of dying to zap is gigantic. Because remember, Chaos is not one punching you anyways. Ribbon is the most important thing you can put on your characters. Ribbon is the best armor in the game, bar none. Okay, nice. Yep, good. How do you lose this? Like I actually don't know. The only thing I can see is zap. So normally I put it on the white mage, yes, but on chaos in particular, it should always be on your primary melee damage dealer. Always, 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 because you need your other characters. Your other characters can nuke and fade your way through Kraken and Tia, but chaos can have a lot of HP, like up to like 3,500 here, and you need your primary melee damage dealer alive. Before chaos, you need your life casters alive. In this case, they're both your knight, so your knight can just have the ribbon the whole time. But before, in most seeds where your knight doesn't learn life, you usually keep your ribbon on your white mage, and against chaos, you always move your ribbon because the worst thing that can happen is turn one zap, and boom, everyone dies. You have a white mage alive, and then you're screwed. Or you're casting Ruse Hammer for 3 turns and then using an Ice 3 Helm for the rest of the fight, which can win, by the way. But okay, that's not a big deal. Do you get turn ordered here? Heal threes, right? Nuke, heal threes. Sure. How do you lose this? I guess your damage output is garbage because you don't have temper, but still. Like, you're so safe. Okay, second nuclear, sure. Okay, so I guess the second consideration here is the fact that you're swinging an X-Cal with a low crit rate, and no tempers, so that is a bit of a problem. So that is one of the downsides of going with the X-Cal. You didn't really have another choice. I guess the Ice Sword would have been better if you had access to tempers. Um, okay, take 2 is with the Vorpal. Okay, yeah, but lacking temper, I guess, is your big problem here. Oh, he has nuclear nuke. Okay, that's definitely rude. So, something of note, heal 3 is not great, and he's casting a lot of skills and spells, so maybe just swinging is okay. But you can also consider casting heal 3 on your knight. Um, Cure 4 is of course much better, but you can try and heal your knight. Not when he's at 23 HP, but if he's at 200 something and you're just hoping that Chaos eventually punches. You're getting kind of unlucky here. Oh, also, he lives there if he has a ribbon, because ribbons you take so much less damage from those elemental spells compared to the non-elemental ones. This Chaos is kind of nasty though. Your big issue here is your damage. His output just isn't high enough. Um, you have the life, you have the levels, you have the weapon. You just need temper. Okay, pro ranks are an okay adjustment, but like the issue here is damage output and your ribbon placement. Identifying what your problem is a really important step, by the way. And your problem here is not that you don't have enough defense. The problem here is that you don't have enough damage. A Vorpal -1 is absolute garbage, by the way, without temper. So yes, it has a higher crit rate, but your Excal probably still is doing more damage. Oh, maybe I'm wrong. Are you going to prove me wrong that Temper's not here? I swear Temper was here. Oh, Saber was here. Okay. Where was Temper? Did we not see it at all? Maybe it's level 8? With Saber being there, you could consider red mage strategies as well. But I think your Excal with your knight is probably okay. You could also search for Cure 4, which would help a lot. You also have 3 casters of heal 3, by the way, so you can fully heal from all of his nukes, nuclears, and things like that. Yeah, Vorpal was a bad idea without temper. Okay, you're just gonna die on chaos again, right? Okay, let's see how this chaos fight goes. Oh, that was okay. So turn 1, he's being a rude boy. Okay, healing up. So this chaos. Okay, other side note: if this chaos is not punching and is not shown to be a melee threat, you can go against non-elemental AoEs. You need to go pure offense a lot of the time if he's not punching. So you can be skipping or maybe one turn of ruse just to get fast and lock off and go from there. Like at this point, you can stop casting Invis 2, or you can stop casting ruse. Also, so the rest of the fiends were not threats. This chaos was a big threat, so not having nukes here is pretty bad. Not that it matters that much. You're just not going to have the damage output now. Wow. Okay, that was terrible too. Yeah, you had to pad your bad Vorpal damage with nukes, but that was just awful. This chaos is nasty. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not surprised you wiped a few times here. You're gonna go get your Masa. Yeah, Temper and Masa is the right call here. Jeez, just atrocious. Nice heal 3, preemptive heal 3. I really like that adjustment. It's something I was about to recommend actually. Okay, yeah, wall is the right play, but ribbon is definitely the more important play here. So that ice 2 did much less damage because of that wall. Yeah, stopped bruising is also correct. So it sounds like you made the right adjustments actually. You just made them too late. Like you made them one dive later than you could have. But you also got much worse turn order on your second dive. Like, sorry, not turn order. You got much worse spell selection on your second dive than you did on your first. So I can see why you did what you did. The Vorpal experiment just wasn't going to work without the Vorpal experiment just wasn't going to work without temper. Cool. Yeah, so I think overall it was reasonable. Like so much of your time, like when you said your time was 142, I was like, man, that's pretty slow. I'm surprised, but like your time was much faster than that. You just got a pretty bad chaos and not perfect adjustments. I think some big takeaways here. Making sure that you're using heal 3, I think is a big one to save time throughout the entirety of the seed. Like you're ending. Let's see, your first chaos time 116 or so. So I'd still say that's 10 minutes off the pace, but it's not atrocious. Like it's not 145. Sorry, 145 is not I guess atrocious, but like it's for coming 12th in the previous Duck Derby, I would expect you to be getting higher than 145 on an average seed. And this is definitely like you have the levels here. Sure, you're missing a sword, but even if you've done this whole slab chain, you're still getting here 3 minutes later, and in much better position. Consider the Massa if you don't have temper. I think is a valid play. Although I would have considered just going Excal here, and I think I would probably might have died as well. So I can't really fault you too much for here. Um, Running out of nukes and fades is a little bit of a problem, I guess. But outside of that, nuke chaos is super nasty. But let's go into like things you can take away on a general seed. So I think high level concept is I think you want to be going down to 3-man a little bit more, trying to get a few more levels on your knight and maybe one or two other characters, and um, not distributing experience so much onto like a black mage who isn't doing anything, or even not even having a red white mage, for example. You can also try starting with 3-person strats, and see how that goes. I know that like crab cakes and like multiple runners were running fighter, red mage, black mage, and I think that's a pretty good comp for this. Um, this seed. The run chance is nice, but as I said, you get it so quickly because of the increased luck you get from leveling up. Um, that's valid. So that's the high level one, I think, high level strategy. Tactical routing, we just talked about Matoya, going Matoya before you go to Elfland, not going to the back of Elfland with no money when you don't need anything, like need anything. Um, we talked a little bit about rearranging your party a little bit to like adjust for various points, especially in the earlier game, and then again at the late end of the game. So when it's your first carry fight, have a plan and execute on that plan. When it's chaos, same thing. Obviously, Ribbon was a mistake. Obviously, Ordeals was a mistake, and those things all cost you various amounts of time. Uh, but yeah, I think overall, I see a lot of like thought. I see a lot of good things. Um, So good job. Oh yeah, Earth 2. Oh yeah. Sorry, that's another high. So two more high level concepts. Encounter manipulation, which is something that I think you know how to do. You just have like forgotten, and then prioritize sea and sky way higher than Earth. Like everything over Earth. Ordeals and like I would do Ordeals and Waterfall to get Oxyl or Cube before I go to Earth, so that I can go somewhere else. And then Volcano is totally fine as well as Ice. Ice Cave is only okay if you have Warp or Exit. So just yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for sending the seed in though, but